The spark of a genius. Can one thought explain the universe? Albert Einstein was born on March 14th, 1879, in a small, quiet town called Ulm in Germany. His house had wooden walls and a red roof. Little Albert had messy brown hair and big, shiny eyes that looked at everything. He loved playing with toy blocks and watching the stars at night. But school was not easy. His teacher said, "You're too slow, Albert. You don't talk enough." He didn't like rules, and he asked strange questions like, "Why does the moon follow me when I walk?" His classmates laughed, but his mind was already exploring big ideas. When Albert was a teenager, his family moved to Switzerland. He finished school and went to a college to study math and science. He loved numbers. They were like puzzles to him. After college, he looked for a job as a teacher, but no one wanted him. In 1902, he found work at a patent office in Bern, a city with old stone buildings and green hills. His job was small. He sat at a wooden desk, reading papers about new machines, clocks, lights, and tools. The papers were boring, but the quiet hours let him think. He walked home every evening, watching the sunset, dreaming about the sky. In 1903, Albert married Mileva, a smart woman who loved math too. They lived in a tiny apartment with old furniture and a creaky floor. Soon, they had a baby boy named Hans. Life was hard. They didn't have much money. Albert wore a worn-out coat and patched shoes, but he was happy with his little family. At night, he sat by a lamp, reading books about light and time. He asked himself, "What is time? Can it change?" These questions stayed in his head like seeds waiting to grow. One spring day in 1905, Albert was at his desk in the patent office. He looked at a big round clock on the wall. Its hands moved slow. Tick, tick, tick. Outside, a train whistled past the window. Albert thought, "What if I ride that train faster than light? Does the clock stop?" His heart beat fast. He grabbed a pencil and a piece of paper from his desk. He drew a train, a clock, and lines of light. He wrote numbers, strange, wild numbers that danced together. This was the start of something big. That night, Albert didn't go to bed. The apartment was dark, and Mileva slept with Hans in the next room. Albert lit a candle. Its small flame made shadows on the wall. He wrote and wrote, filling pages with his ideas. He imagined a world where time could stretch like a rubber band or shrink if you moved very fast. He thought about light bending around the sun. These ideas were new and scary, even to him. He called it special relativity. It said time and space were not fixed. They could change. He rubbed his tired eyes, but he smiled. This felt right. The next morning, Albert showed his papers to Mileva. She made coffee and sat with him at their little table. She read his work, her eyes wide. "Albert, this is amazing," she said, "but it's hard to understand." He nodded. "I know. I need to make it simple." He drew a picture. A man on a train holding a clock, with light flying past. Mileva helped him fix the math. They worked together until Hans woke up, crying for milk. Albert laughed. Even a genius needs breakfast. Albert sent his papers to a science magazine. He waited for weeks, checking the mailbox every day. Rain or sun, he walked there with hope. One cloudy morning, a letter arrived. He tore it open with shaky hands. The words said, "We like your work. We will print it." Albert ran home, shouting, "Mileva, they said yes." She hugged him, and Hans giggled. That day, Albert felt like he could fly. But not everyone was happy. When the magazine came out, some scientists read his ideas and frowned. "Time slows down? That's silly," one said. Another wrote, "Einstein is wrong. This is nonsense." Albert heard the words, but he didn't fight. He went back to his desk, writing more. He sent new papers, explaining with simple drawings, clocks, trains, stars. Slowly, a few scientists listened. "Maybe he's right," they whispered. News spread from Bern to Zurich, then to Berlin. In 1911, Albert got a better job at a university. He wore a suit now, but his hair was still messy. People started to know his name. By 1919, he wrote about gravity, how it pulls light, not just rocks. That year, scientists tested his idea during a solar eclipse. They used telescopes to watch stars near the sun. When the sun went dark, the stars moved, just like Albert said. Newspapers shouted, "Einstein's theory works!" Pictures of his face were everywhere. People called him a genius. Albert was surprised. "I only wanted to understand," he said. Fame came fast. Albert moved to Berlin, then to America when war started in Europe. He wore a big coat and carried a suitcase full of papers. Crowds followed him, asking, "What is relativity?" He smiled and said, "Imagine time is a river. It flows different for everyone." In 1921, he won the Nobel Prize for his work on light, not relativity. He laughed, "That's funny, but I'll take it." Children sent him drawings of stars. Scientists asked him to speak in big halls. Albert's life grew busy. He traveled, talked, and wrote. But he loved quiet moments too. He played the violin when his head hurt from thinking. He sat by windows, watching the moon. Wars scared him. He didn't want his ideas used for bombs. In 1933, he left Germany for America, living in a small house with books and music. He kept working, even when his hair turned white. In 1955, Albert got sick. He lay in bed, weak but calm. He died at 76, leaving behind papers that changed science. Today, rockets fly to space because of him. Black holes have his name in their stories. One day, in 1905, sitting in a small office, he lit a spark that still shines. Albert once stood by a lake, watching the water. He asked, "Can one idea live forever?" His life said yes. From a quiet boy with big questions, he gave the world a new sky to explore.